Hey guys, if you're like me, you probably wonder what full-time Christian YouTubers make, money-wise, the yearly income, salary, whatever. If you're not familiar with me, if you're just tuning in because you've seen the title, I'm a Catholic YouTuber. I've been back to the Catholic Church for 7 years. I was born Catholic, but I left in boot camp when I was 19 and was what you would term an evangelical Protestant, charismatic Christian. Now I'm a Catholic Christian. I'm still evangelical and charismatic though, praise the Lord. But and I do this part-time. I work a full-time job. So if I showed you what I made, you'd be like, wow, I ain't doing that. I don't do it for the money. But I think we're all curious what these guys make who do this full-time. And because I was Protestant so long, I'm still in touch with a lot of Protestants. I have a lot of Protestant friends and a lot of guys that aren't my friends, but I like. And one guy in particular that I really enjoy his YouTube is a guy named Rustlin KD. And like I said, I don't know him personally, but I watched him quite a bit. And he seems like a genuine, sincere believer in Christ. And he's not a Catholic hater. In fact, he had Trent Horn on as a guest, and he let him talk and explain his position, and he asked him hard questions, and of course Trent Horn had the answer, and he was like, that makes sense. Like, he gave credit where credit was due. Wow, your argument is a good argument for the Catholic faith. So that's the kind of guy he is, this guy Rustlin. I really like him. Plus, he always has interest in topics. And he has a gift of communication. He's a rapper. I think he was a rapper first, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not really big into rap music. I like Carmen's Resurrection rap, but that's probably about it. So that just kind of give you the background. So anyway, so I'm watching Rustlin, and he says, hey, he like at the end of one of his videos, it's like, hey, if you want to learn how to grow your YouTube channel, click on here for a free video, whatever. And so I clicked on it, and he gave some interesting tips, but he actually gave what he made for the year 2022. So I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm just going to give you some of my thoughts, because I don't know how I feel about Christians making money talking about the gospel. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's good that some do, and why I'm hesitant to do that. And I'm just gonna be honest, Rustlin is very transparent. You'll see, this guy is out there. He doesn't hide nothing. He's very honest, very transparent. We probably agree, Rustlin and I agree on 90% of Christian faith, maybe 95%, and we actually both critique these Word of Faith guys in the same way that claim to be evangelical. So this is not judgment on anybody. I'm going to actually ask for your opinion, and I want you guys to honestly comment in the comments on some of the things I'm going to talk about and going to ask, because I respect you guys. Most of you guys watching have been Catholic longer than me, so you have a different perspective. And even some Protestants that follow me, I highly respect your opinion, because you're very intelligent, very educated, very grounded in your faith. So feel free to comment. And again, we're not here to judge anybody. God calls us each to a different vocation. And so with that said, let's see what the man makes. So this is, I hate when the freezes like that. Sometimes, like before I knew how to change thumbnails, I'd have the craziest looking thumbnails, but that's not what it looks like. It's just where I froze it, because I thought that was a good spot. So it's just going to go for like 2 minutes.
So I think we need to get back to a healthy, just transparency to talk about money, okay? And so with that, we did the AdSense reveal yesterday, okay? That is what we did for 2022. Not showing this as a flex, only showing you as what is possible when I locked in for 2 years. Okay, so we did into the 6 figures. That's just this channel. The second channel is doing 5K a month as well. We also have the Facebook, which kind of fluctuates from 3. I think our best month on Facebook was like 8K. We're starting a second Facebook page. But this isn't even what I'm most excited about, okay? What I'm most excited about is Patreon, okay? Now here's our Patreon breakdown, okay? So Patreon consistently generates us approximately 5 to 6K a month, okay? But as the year went on, we kind of started taking a dip right around September and October, and then it went above 6K. Okay, so this is our best month was in December. Okay, and you notice this little graph, and then it starts spiking. Okay, now we are changing some of our monetization strategies that we're going to be talking about in this video. So you need to stay locked in because this is stuff that we're literally doing in real time. I don't want you guys to miss it because it's that important in terms of how to monetize moving forward. Okay, because this is how I would describe it. Okay, I'll describe it like this. There's nothing wrong with AdSense. That's good. You can make AdSense. But when your entire business model becomes dependent on AdSense, it can be dangerous because the algorithms check.
Okay, so if you've seen that, what he's saying, year to date for 2022, his channel made him $125,000. And then his second channel, I think he said he's doing like $5,000 a month. And then his Facebook and everything else, it adds up. And his Patreon, his best month was like 7,000, but I think he said it averaged 5,000. I think I just added everything up in my head and figured this guy's making well over $200,000, you know, just making videos. Now, to put this in perspective, he has 248,000 subscribers. So someone like, say, Taylor Marshall, who has 430,000 subscribers, would make maybe 50% more. And he said that, you know, he gets, like I said, his best month, I think he said on Patreon was 7,000. I would say Taylor Marshall's best months on Patreon is probably much better because he has that many more subscribers. And at the end of every video, if you ever watch Taylor Marshall, he always pops up, please go to Patreon for it. And he kind of like, you know, gives you 2 sets of Ginsu knives and a DVD and a signed book. No, I'm joking. He offers you stuff, you know, valuable stuff to become a Patreon. So what a Patreon is they commit to donating a certain amount of money. So on my channel, I got 13,000 subscribers. And I think I looked, and year to date, I'm like 1,700 in AdSense. So AdSense, when he said AdSense, don't be dependent on AdSense because algorithms change, you know. And then he said something interesting. He said, you know, that business model isn't good if you're dependent on AdSense, or that's, you know, so he said something about a business model. So you see, these guys do this full time. It's a business to them, you know. And so his business model, he's saying we need to depend more on Patreon. And then I actually didn't watch the whole video yet, and I'll see what he says, and we'll go from there. But like I said, my AdSense for the year to date was $1,700, and that's, you know, some months were like $80, some months were $200, but by now, and you know, it's almost the end of the year, it's December 26th, I made like $1,761, I think it said. But his Patreon was less than his AdSense. My Patreon is actually more. And you never really hear me talk about Patreon much. When I was a milkman back in the day, it was kind of ironic because I was, you know, I've had this channel maybe 5 years, but there was about a 3-year span when I was a milkman, working like 75 hours a week. So I was only doing like 2 videos a month. So my AdSense were real low. And then when I got laid off, someone suggested I put up a Patreon. And, you know, if you know me, I'm not tech savvy at all. I'm one of those grandpas that get their grandsons to help me. You know, my grandson taught me how to paste and copy a couple years ago. But, you know, we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Computers is definitely my weakness. But long story short, my son took it upon himself to set up a Patreon account for me. And it's been very helpful. It's helped me buy some equipment. I know it don't seem like it, but if you notice my interviews, my videos never lag. They used to lag all the time. They never lag. If they're lagging, it's always on the other person's end, never on my end. So that helped my interviews. And then I have stuff set up for an office. I just got to kind of find space and make space for an office. So it helped that. But even more, it helped me from not having to work a part-time job. Honestly, you know, I worked part-time at Capone's waiting table for a few months. But it was interfering with the video, and it was interfering with my knees because I got bone on bone. But the Patreon, the few $100 I make on Patreon compensated, and I was able to quit that part-time job. So there's no way I could go full-time on this. You know, that would be an impossibility for me. But I thought it was interesting to see how people do it. Now, Russell and KD feels led to do this full time. So now you think $125,000 is a lot of money, but he lives in San Diego. So $125,000 to me in Orlando, or someone in Dallas, Texas, or someone in Oklahoma, that's a lot of money. But someone living in San Diego, and he's married with 3 kids, and he's in a Moses marriage. Don't tell Taylor. If you don't know what a Moses marriage is, it's Numbers 12:1. Moses married an Ethiopian woman. And, Taylor thought that was weird that there's so many interracial couples these days. So just a little inside joke with my viewers. But anyhow, so he does have a family, and he's transparent. He doesn't act like, oh, I'm struggling, give me, begging for money. He offers you stuff, for his Patreons. He sells stuff, so I would add up the Patreon and stuff he sells, and I think he makes a good living. He makes quite a bit of money, And then, if you look at him, like I said, with 230,000 subscribers, if you add up everything he sells, his Patreon, his Facebook, everything is generating money. I think it comes up to about 300 grand. I said 200. I think it's more like 300,000 is what I figured out. And growing. So someone like Taylor Marshall that does the same thing. He has Patreon, he has Facebook, and he has almost double the amount of subscribers. I'd say he's probably at like 500,000, Just in AdSense, he's got to be, just from the commercials, Rustin said he made 125K. I would say Taylor's got to make at least 200 just from the AdSense, maybe more, because not only does he have a lot more subscribers, but if you look at all Taylor's videos, he gets like triple or quadruple the amount of the average video of Rustlin. So sometimes I feel like, wow, maybe I should try and do this full time. I can be more professional. I can dedicate more time to studying. I used to teach RCIA at the church, but with my jobs, I could never get there on time. I could get more involved in the church. My priest was a very godly man, and, he was trained in Steubenville with, professors like Scott Hahn. He knows our Catholic theology so well. He wants to teach me. He knows I know the Bible well, but he knows that he can teach me more. And he's willing to take me under his wing. And like once a week, he wanted to meet with me and disciple me. And I'm really excited to do that, but we're really having a hard time to find it. So sometimes I think, man, if I could just do all that full time, I can just give you guys much better videos and make them more professional and just get everything where you can hear me better, and I can have more interesting topics and better guests. And then sometimes I think, well, this is where I was when God called me. St. Paul says, if you were married when he called you, stay married. If you were single when he called you, stay single, So I think that, am I taking that verse out of context? And again, I want your opinions. I don't know. I'm just giving you my thought process. And then I think, but man, 200,000, 300,000, that's more than I need. Am I going to just use it to take flights to France and Italy and do videos overseas and say it's part of the ministry to go to fancy restaurants? Again, this is not a judgment zone. This is just what I'm thinking. So should I just say, okay, I need this much, Orlando, Florida. You make $70,000. That's good money in Orlando, Florida. Anything more than $70,000, I just give to the church. I think that. Or do I invest it in the ministry and get, more stuff? I mean, my guests come on for free. I've had Dr. Scott on. I've had Dr. Alan Keyes. I've had Francis Beckwith. I've had Archbishop Brogler. I've had some pretty high profile guests, and they never asked me for a penny. So I don't need money for the show, so to speak. I just would need money to survive. So I think, what would be the amount that I need, And then, I was Protestant for so many years, so when I think about money, I always look, from my life experience. So there were two kinds of people in Protestant. You had ministries like Billy Graham, and he said, I will have the faith to believe whatever God provides, that's what he wants me to spend. Then you would have Word of Faith guys like Benny Hinn go out and spend all his money and buy all this stuff and then say, I got the faith that God's going to provide for this jet. God's going to provide for this mansion. And then he would start begging people and manipulating people to give and tricking them, saying, if you give to me, you'll be rich. Plant a seed. So I know if I were to go in full-time ministry, I would want to model it after Billy Graham. Or in the Christian music industry, I remember Amy Grant talking about the late Keith Green. Keith Green would never charge for a concert. He was the #1 Christian artist. He sold out stadiums. He was huge. And there was a meeting with all the top singers, Amy Grant, I forget all the big, Andre Crouch, and all the music executives. And Amy Grant said, like, Keith Green just convicted us all and said, how could you charge to share the gospel? And she said, we're just all convicted. Keith would never charge. So someone said to him, well, you charge for albums. He said, you're right. I'm going to stop charging for albums. So Keith Green announced, if you want one of my albums and you can't afford it, let me know. I'll send it for free. So he's sending people millions of albums for free. And then when someone said, well, what if they can't afford a stereo? So if you went to a Keith Green concert, he would have his, they sell their albums and stuff at the back. If you didn't have money for an album, he'd give it to you for free. And if you didn't have money for a stereo to play it on, he'd give you a stereo to play it on. So they showed like there's, not everybody can do that because not everybody was Keith Green that can generate that many people. So they would say, we have to run, our music industry. Money needs to be there. We can't count on people contributing. That's how he would ask for free will giving. Just give what you can. And, I seen Carmen, the late Carmen Licardella, my favorite Christian artist of all time. The Philadelphia Spectrum, I think it sold out like 20,000 people. He didn't charge a penny to anybody. But he asked midway through, if you could donate, please donate. If you can't, don't worry about it. And he said, I want to go to Yankee Stadium, and that's going to cost a lot of money. And I need you guys to provide. And they provided, and he was in Yankee Stadium. In fact, he holds the record, I think, for the largest concert in Texas Stadium. Now, you've had Pink Floyd play there, you had Garth Brooks play there, you had like a lot of big names, but Carmen has the record for the most people. They didn't charge. But Carmen was asked about this. He gave a different answer than Keith Green. He said, this is what I feel like the Lord is telling me, not to charge. I'm not going to judge my brother who charges for concerts because I know they got to pay musicians. They got to rent the place. They got to pay for travel. There's a lot of expenses that go with it. And that's how I feel. I'm not going to judge Taylor for the amount of money he generates. I'm not going to judge Russell for the amount of money he generates. But I don't even think I can do that. But if somehow I could, I don't know how I would feel about it. I mean, I've had people telling me they've heard me preach, when I was a Protestant, and heard me talk to some churches like, oh man, you should go on the speech circuit. These Catholic speakers, they get like $2-3 grand a night. Like, we've had them. And in fact, I had someone from our diocese who runs a youth group, and he asked me to come speak. We haven't, for some reason or another, we just haven't nailed down the date when he wants me to come. And he said, so basically, it was kind of funny. He was like, yeah, we've had some big speakers here, some, high profile names, Catholics. They cost like $2,000-3,000. We just don't have that money this year. So basically, we're asking you to come. And I said, brother, don't worry about it. I'll pay you to speak. I'll pay you to let me talk to a bunch of youth about the gospel. So that's how I feel about that. So, so what I'm getting at is, sometimes I feel like right now my job's a little shaky. I told you the company I'm working for is in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and we got to show a judge, I think by the middle of next month, how we're going to pay back $900 million in debt. So it's not a big corporation with shareholders. There's one man that started it. It's an amazing success story. He started it, sleeping on the floor on a blow-up mattress, and now he's in a mansion. Mattress to mansion. I think he's got a YouTube video. But things are looking shaky. So, of course, we're all in talks with, other people, and, I might be able to, if things go south, I'm sure I can get a job. I have a CDL. But it's probably going to be a job working 70, 75 hours again, and it's going to cut into my video time. And I get the thought, well, why don't you try to go full time, And so where I'm at now is, I don't think that's what God's calling me to do. If he was, my Patreon would blow up and I'd be like, whoa guys, thanks. I have enough money. I could quit my job and just do videos all day and go speak in churches for whatever they can, whatever love offering they can come up with. And that's how I feel. So I just wanted to get your opinion on this. You know, there's a lot more I want to say, but honestly, it's getting late and I don't even remember. So God bless, stay Catholic. But one thing you could do, it does generate a little bit of income here. I get a percentage of their sales that I generate, is realestateforlife.org. And I don't just do it. I would do it if they didn't give me anything. Is, you know, I've never signed a contract, met the owner in person. I talked to him on the phone. You know, I just taken his word. He's given me the percent that he would say. And if he didn't, I don't care, because I know realestateforlife.org is doing God's work in saving babies. And I know the pro-aborts are outspending us 30-1. And we need pro-life companies to generate cash so we can donate to our side. So again, if you're buying or selling real estate, please go to realestateforlife.org. And if you want to help this channel, you can go to, I think it's Patreon.com/Blue Collar Catholic. I'm not even sure, but I think that's what it is. And subscribe and hit the like button. That helps Rustin said that helps the algorithms. So it goes out further and more people see it, and I get more ads and make a few more cents. So maybe next year to date, I'll make $2,000. God bless and stay Catholic.